happening here. It's about that time for us to do our open mic hour, and you know how we do it at this time. At this time, we have music without interruption. It's actually my favorite part of the show, people. Yeah. We have no interruption conversations. We can go deep. Many times I'm alone in studio with Bashir, but once in a while we have a legend who comes through in the building, and today is that day. And just PSA, we're gonna be streaming the show live on YouTube. All right, so jump on there, Radio Gen KE on YouTube, and also on Facebook, Radio Generation Kenya on Facebook. The goodness of the YouTube stream is you can send in your comment in real time, and it'll just come in front of me right here, and I will read it out. But meanwhile, let's get into it. Bashir, do you want to introduce our guest?
Yeah, sure. Let's get into it. Our guest tonight is a pioneering satirist, columnist, and one of the most impactful Kenyan writers of his generation. Through his thought-provoking columns and essays, he has examined the texture of everyday life, moving away from the traditional idea of African men as victims of modernity and disillusion. His work captures the struggles of African men, striving to maintain integrity while navigating power, fatherhood, memory, and existence. From the legendary Man Talk column to his continued advocacy for redefining masculinity storytelling, he has shaped national conversations on identity and gender in ways few writers have. Our guest tonight is none other than Oyunga Pala.
Yay! Karibu sana, sir.
Asante sana.
It's good to have you here. Today is Mazingira Day. All right, just to get straight into it. And I had you somewhere saying the way you love trees. Are you still in love with trees?
Yeah, no, I do. It's funny. I'm starting to get used to the sound of my voice.
Oh, okay.
So it's been a while.
Take your time.
That sounds different. So, yeah, no, I've actually, I'm a forester, you know. So, like in Sharks, I've got like about 3 acres of indigenous tree forest. Huh?
Okay.
So I've been doing that for, I've been nurturing that forest for like almost 25 years. So I'm a true forester. And then I'm one of the founding members of something known as Madare Green Movement.
All
so
right.
There's like a group of people who then decided to kind of plant trees within Madare, you know, to green Madare. So yeah, if there's one significant national holiday, this for me is something I'll go behind.
Oh, all right. Yeah. You said you inherited the farm or part of it?
The forest, literally. You know, like in Shags, we have a tradition of forests in our shags, you know, like this. So the part of the land where you cannot cultivate, it was left to kind of be forested. So in the beginning, it's just a couple of trees and bush, and then I deliberately, basically, nurtured it into like a forest. And now it's a full canopy forest.
All right. Yeah. Do you get to cut the trees and sell?
No.
They're like pets, you know. They are pets.
More than pets, they're like guardians.
All right.
They hold the home together. You know, so like the value of the trees in its standing.
All right.
So they're not to be cut. The value of the trees, that fine. Look, we've got these trees. The inheritance. The whole point is to pass them on to the next generation.
All right. Yeah. That is interesting. So do you? There's a time. Sorry to jump ahead.
No worries.
I guess we'll come back. There's a time you got an accident on a motorbike, and then you said you went back to Shags. Like, is that environment, the forest, like your place of healing and stuff?
Yeah, it's more. It's like home.
Okay.
It's like more of like the seat of my soul. You know, like my people, my essence is there. Oh. So my people are buried there. You know, that's why I came of age. So it's always the place. It's the source. It's always where I return to for rejuvenation.
Yeah.
And then part of what makes it so special is we live right next to River Yala, and then we've got the forest. So it's atmospherically, you know, it's like, you know, it has a spiritual essence.
Okay.
And so I always return to it. You know, it's a place of solace for me. Yeah.
Have you seen Avatar, the movie?
I think I did, like all those years. James Cameron, right?
Yes. Mm-hmm. They had this forest and these trees which they used to connect. Did you see Avatar? They had what you're explaining.
Yeah, exactly.
They had something similar. But I was reading your book, and sorry, msikilizaji, tulikuwa hata tunaanza hii show kabla hii show ianze. We're already deep in the conversation. Check Oyunga Pala has a book. It's called Strength and Sorrow, Reflections on the Ones We Lost, and it's about loss and grief.
It is about
you can give us a synopsis.
Yeah, it's about loss and grief, but it's also about life and memory. You know, because you know it's like almost two sides of the same coin. We tend to think of when you memorialize and think of loss. How do you think about it? You remember the life that they lived, you know? So like somebody has died, but what do? We eulogize, no? We write the obituary. And ultimately it's a life story of the person who died. So the whole premise of the book is really quite simple, is that the art of dying is essentially the art of living. So if you truly invite death into your life, what have you left with? Because you cannot control the outcome of death. So the most you can control is the reality of the present. So by truly embracing death, you invite life into your life.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
But and I was asking you earlier, like you got very deep into the deaths of even very close people.
Yeah.
I read about your grandma Dani. I think her name is
Wahonya.
Yeah, Wahonya. Like those, you relived even about your sister.
Yeah.
So when you're writing, when I was reading it, I was thinking you're reliving some of these moments.
Yeah.
You aren't feeling a sense of sadness, and then you get into some sort of depressiveness.
Not really. And hence the irony of the title.
Okay.
So from sorrow to strength. So the thing is that we're always afraid to embrace sorrow. You know, the only way you can write a story like this or stories like this is you've got to dig into sorrow. You know, like tumbukiza. You know, like immerse completely. And when you stay there long enough, you start realizing, actually, you know what? It's full of just lessons and basically and life.
Yeah.
And when you emerge from it, then now you have strength. So you have then strength to talk about the loss.
Okay.
Because otherwise, if you don't go through that ritual and that process, what happens is that you get stuck, and you fall into one of these emotions, either what you're talking about, depression, anger, frustration, anxiety, all of those things. But if you truly immerse yourself in sorrow, what you emerge from is actually strength.
All right.
This has at least been my process.
Well, okay, I hear you. But was there any story which was hard to, which you felt heavy after writing?
Most of them were, especially the family stories.
Okay.
Especially the family stories. You know, like my sisters was really hard to get together. My brothers was really hard to put together. My father's was crazy because in the sense of that, I'd forgotten so much. You know, I'd put him on like a pedestal. You know, like, you know, Mzee, Fade. And when I started having to grapple with him as a man, you know, because he died at 58, so, you know, I'm 51 now. So I started to look at him as a man and realized I didn't really know this guy outside of the father figure. So then that was also hard, going into the essence of like, who was this guy beyond this image that I had of him. Yeah.
Tell us a little more about him, because I heard you say the way he was a disciplinarian. He used to hate laziness.
Yeah.
And,
You cut the tape. Yeah.
So, do you mind sharing about him a little?
Yeah, I really think for me, he was in many ways a model, and like he's a self-actualized man. You know, I didn't understand the term until much later in my years now, in the sense that he did the full circle. He's lucky. He's the generation that went through government scholarships, got into a career, and did the 40 years in one career. You know, he's a hospital administrator.
Okay.
Rising from the bottom, from a clinician to the chief hospital secretary. You know, so perfect public servant, huh? And then retires and starts again. So he retires, shags, and becomes a clinician and a farmer.
Oh, he does the nimeretire, nimeenda ushago thing.
Kabisa. He goes home and starts literally afresh. Like literally goes to a room like about this size and opens a clinic from a guy who used to run hospitals.
All right.
You know, so, but the thing is that he was a man who was completely purposed in his life. You know, so is when I look back, and we lost him when I was 15, and we look back, and he had done all the foundational work. You know, like when you talk about loss, a father dies, and you're like, oh God, there's so many things I should have learned. You realize by the time I was 12 years old, my dad had done all the foundational work. Like, I knew my place in a home, I knew my place in the process, I knew the things that were important, I knew the place of education. All of that stuff had been done without him ever telling me, Kijana. There was no long lectures, but just through the power of his example.
Okay.
And then the other thing that really was fascinating about him was that I was not the only one. You know, like the extent of his influence was so wide, and you only know that at a funeral.
Oh yeah, true.
Because everybody comes in and tells their testimony of who this man was. Eh? So I used to wonder, where did he get his hours? Because it didn't seem like a guy who was obsessed and rushed. This is a guy actually who came home at lunchtime to swatch.
All right.
After lunch. They're like a power nap, you know. And so he had this interesting rituals, you know. Now he would evening whiskey and a book, you know.
All right.
Sunday newspaper, you know, like just you know, and a book just before it gets dark, you know. It's like you've got a few flowers of sunset.
Yeah.
So so in a way he made me realize how to live in the present, and how to be self-validated, so I'm not looking for validation outside of myself, so incredible influence, as a father figure. Went too early, but he was present completely, so he left us full.
Did you feel like did you feel like that one of regret of I wish I knew him in terms of his person? Like, I started knowing my dad when I moved out of home, and that was when I was 25 years old. That's the time we started having conversations, and I guess that was the old school style of parenting. So later on is when we'd sit down and tell me about polygamy. He told me something weird. He said a woman is like a mosquito in your ear. Okay, it's a crazy thing. I'm like, I'll never say that on radio, but
as long as you start by, my dad told me one day you can say anything on radio.
So yeah, did you feel that sense of this was a serious guy?
Yeah, no, my dad was, in a way, we didn't have, so I missed that, you know what I mean? I always imagine what it would have been to have worked in age. Like I see guys now like driving the old man and hang out with the old man. I'm like, damn, man, I could never have that. And in a way, that's part of a grieving process, because we mourn that loss. We're like, oh, what would have been it for him to see his grandchildren, So you miss that, but then that's something you learn to carry with you, because I always say grief is love that's displaced, So you still love the man, but he's not there anymore.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah. So what do you do with that thing? You continue. It's not that you start saying, "Oh, you're dead so long. We have to stop this loving business. I have to stop caring about you." No. So you miss him. I see a guy with his old man. I'm like, damn.
Yeah.
That would have been cool. I'd be the guy driving my old man. Shags. I'd be the guy being consulted. I'd have been talk about the grand legacy. Would have been thinking together, because he's a sharp guy. So yeah, you missed that. Yeah.
Sorry, I've been hogging all the questions.
No, it's okay. I was just waiting for my time. When the elders are speaking, you sit and you listen.
Man, no.
But I mean, you talk about like the way you describe your dad in the book. You tell that you now start to know him as a man, not as a father. I'm a second last born out of 7 children, I think our eldest is almost twice my age or something. So when I talk to them about my father, it's like he was a mythical creature, like a kraken or something. But as he got older, by the time I was being born, like the way I experienced my dad was very different. It was very soft, it was very loving. He was not I hear horror stories of he even had a nyaunyo, one in his car and one in the house, just in case. He has contingencies for punishment. But the dad that I knew was different. So in your book, like, because obviously, like, is it from your point of view, like how your dad was to you? Because I feel like you have different relationships with like different people. Like, how's him being represented in the book? Is it like according to how you guys related, or is it like how he was as a man?
No, it's very similar to you, because I'm also a second last born.
Nice.
And between me and my last brother, there's a gap of 7 years. So we literally love babies. Me and my kid, bro.
That's how you console yourself?
Yep.
Jay, bro, man, that guy's in love babies, bro.
And I stick to this, and that's the tweet. So, and so he had this thing. When my brothers speak of my father and the father that I speak of, 2 different people, completely very similar to your story, because he's a much younger man then, so he's a lot more harder. He's a lot more firm. By the time it comes to us, he's softened up. So we're he's treating us as kids. As you grow older, you become a lot more gentler. I find that as men grow older, they become better nurturers. That's why granddaddies are so nice to grandkids. So it changed. So my older brothers would be saying, father would never do that. They'll be shocked. Father would never do that. But we're coming years later, so we had the soft touch, and then we're lucky because he was going towards retirement, so he had time. So he's not like that office worker who was like chasing a career. He had settled into career. He was thinking about the next stage, so he had time. So I in particular was quite lucky, because for the early years of my life, I was literally always with him. So I ended up learning a lot just by example, and that was just beautiful.
So, like I told you, some of my questions will be very selfish. Like in regard to your career, because we've grown up reading your stuff. you started your writing when you're in like when did you start like
When I was
actively?
with Flambe playing rugby.
Oh, that's when you started. Flambe is my brother for wasikilizaji. Flamboyant. So that's when you started writing.
That's all right.
In high school, you're in writing those days.
No,
Like,
I had nothing. Maybe compositions. Maybe compose.
were you like getting serious marks in the compositions?
I was very good in English. You know, like
Okay.
very good in English compositions. It came quite naturally. But I never thought of it as a career. Not at all. Yeah.
So where did you guys grow up? Like the younger years?
Here, down the road, Kilimani, Menelik Road.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
So the English came from the hood.
Yeah, exactly. I'm just from, my mother was a teacher, so just good parenting.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Were you reading a lot in the house?
Not really. Not in the kind of, I don't know, or the other way that you see it now these days, as bedtime stories and any of that nonsense. No, we're just, you have to read, you know, because everybody's reading. But it wasn't like drilled on you, you must.
Okay.
It's just a habit that we saw everybody else doing and we picked up. Yeah.
So throughout high school, Campo, it was just like regular. And then after is when now you started noticing you have a gift?
In campus, literally. In campus is when it happens. The turning point, which I remember, is this has been an organization called ISEC.
Yeah, I remember.
You know ISEC, yeah? I think it lasted for a while. And there's a friend of mine
Do you know
called...
ISEC?
You know ISEC? No. It's
Association
like
of...
students, something, economics, blah, blah, blah. But anyway, but it was a very kind of progressive association where students used to be going abroad and all them. And they were kind of like, you know, the edgy ones, they're kind of an elite in the campus. Huh? And they had a newsletter. So one of the, and I remember her name, Naomi, you know. So Naomi invited me to write, just like, I just write something. And I was a rugby guy, so rugby guys have stories for days, you know. So write something. And when I wrote it, it clicked. And she loved it. And she's like, wow, you should have more of this stuff. And that was really the first time I said, maybe I have something. Then I started trying to experiment with it a little bit more. And that's how I end up in The Nation. And I end up in The Nation just basically after a conversation with a guy in the gym, and I explained to him something about, this is how you lose your pot, brother. And I gave him a full explanation. He said, you need to write that stuff down. And after I'd written it down, he says, take it to The Nation. Like blind call. And I just went in like, you know, a proper innocent.
But who did he send you to in The Nation?
No, it's just, you know, one of those guys that went The Nation. Look for Fulani.
Okay.
That Fulani is not there, and that Fulani is even a marketing guy. Has nothing to do with like in Anafanya Nation. You know what I mean? So I get in there and I make my way up to the second floor and I meet a guy called Mundia Mashiri, and the guy takes my articles and he just puts them there and he says, "I'll get hold of you," and literally he launches my career.
Oh, he actually did get hold of it.
Yeah, and he published them.
All right.
And he said, "I want more." Then I,
because that's like a dream, you know. There's a day I also tried to write. No, but me, I was using my dad as a proxy because my dad also used to write for the newspaper. But I don't think mine was taken up.
Well, you should. You'd be surprised. Because then you guys are comics.
Yeah.
So you're already right.
Yeah.
You just don't think of it as writing. You're already right.
Yeah, for sure. So how did you feel when he took it up, like the first one?
Oh, elated, man, in the papers. And this is 97, 98. You know?
Was it a full page, half page?
No, God, it could even fit it's like 4 stamps. That's how small it was.
What was it about?
I'd written a story about, you know, back in the days, HIV was the scare.
Yeah.
And it said, can you get HIV through sweat in the gym? That's really what it was. Nothing glamorous, nothing. No, it's just a simple scientific fact. And I had the books, so I was the expert. Yeah.
So now, were you paid for that?
Yeah, I was paid some small cash, you know, but I was paid for my words, and that's where the obsession started. I could actually exchange words for currency.
So now, from that small little article, now you started being a regular.
Yeah. Then Mundia just kept on giving me more work, you know. Then he give me a feature, you know. Then he give me 2 features, and then along the way, I meet the next editor of the Saturday Nation called Rhoda Orengo. And Rhoda Orengo is really pretty the one who launched my career. Because I used to do a fitness column, you know, so Mundia finally gave me a fitness column. And so I used to do a regular fitness column for the Saturday magazine. Incidentally, the first fitness column in Kenya newspapers. Huh?
Oh, okay.
So I need to own that fact. Huh? Yeah. So, and then...
It was from your Mean Machine background.
Yes, but I also used to do a part-time gig in a gym called Nautilus on Mombasa Road.
Okay.
You know, so yeah. And then Rhoda finds me doing a fitness column because she sees me every week. I come in to drop my copy, and she tells me, hey, you, Oyunga, write something on that rugby things of yours, and that's how it started.
All right.
So I just wrote just literally pulled something out of my backside, gave it to her, and she was like, I came back the next week, she said, oh, give me some more. And that's how I started. And just said this, give me some more. And before I know it, I turned around 2000, I owned the column. And that journey began. Yeah.
I think it had already begun. No, that sounds like a dream.
Yeah, but, I mean, when you talk about writing, it's very different because, as you said, me and Emmanuel are writers too, in a different way.
Yeah.
But we find that, and we always encourage people, if you're gonna do comedy, you write like with your hand, you type, and you record. Like you see, all these mediums of expressions are very different. Like I wonder what's your approach to that? Like, do you write? Do you type? Like, do you feel there's a difference between the methods?
Yeah, I think you've got more sensitivity when you write with your hand. I think it's a quicker transmission. Huh?
Yeah,
there's something, and I know there's a science to it. I just can't explain it. But there's a quicker transmission when you write with your hand. Which is why then as writers we're told to take notes, like slice of life. I see an incident, something happens, and I should write it down quickly because that's very good seeding. The thing is that I'm the generation that moved from typewriter to computers.
Okay.
We are like the first generation that moved from typewriter to computers. So this has become like the pen. So it's the same thing. But the idea is that as soon as the thought comes, put it down because it disappears. You know that about jokes. It's like it's coming. And the funny thing is that you'll find somebody else cracking your joke.
Exactly.
And you're like, that was my idea.
Yeah.
Like, how did it literally moves, So hence the habit of it comes, doesn't make sense. Bats flying out of Nairobi. You saw some bats flying, like I did the other day when I was coming into Tao, just around University Way, a whole bunch of bats coming out at 10 a.m. in the morning. I was like, that's a story. I don't know where it's going to go, but there's a story there.
Yeah, write it down.
Yeah. What do you think of that thing of you have an idea here? I've literally ever had an idea here, and I see on the internet somebody in the States doing that.
Did your joke the other day.
Do you have an explanation for that?
Yeah, there's a kind of connectivity. I believe then, and there's a lady who kind of, the lady of Love, Eat, Pray, that book. No, you guys have heard the book before?
Yeah.
Yeah. She explained it really well. I can't remember exactly, but the concept is this, is that there's a universe of ideas floating around, and our job is to grab them, but they're not ours. Like it's the universe of ideas. So this idea of this kind of illusion that we have that it's our thinking, that's the illusion. The thing is that it's a universe of ideas just floating around, and our job is to give them form. So if you miss on it, if it like an idea comes to you knocking and saying, hey, deal with me. If you let go of it, it moves on to the next willing person. It's almost like ideas are looking for vessels. And that's why the artists of the artists become prolific. Because the ideas, they know how to capture and harness. Capture and harness. Like, how does it keep on doing? Like, a guy I really admire in that regard, I think is completely underrated, is Eric Omondi. I can't get over his prolificness. You might not agree with the value of the content, like you might, his ads, maybe it's not your brand of comedy, but his ability to keep generating ideas perpetually, that I find is actually genius.
Yeah, so meaning you have to be available for that idea to pop into your head.
Yeah. You have to, that's how present you have to be. That's how present you have to be. Because otherwise you'd miss it. Yeah. And I think that's the distinction of a true artist. Because a true artist never out of character. He's always ready.
He's always on.
He's always on. It's always on. And that way you have it's like an engine, a perpetual ability to just transmit.
I was asking you this earlier, like so for you, like what's your writing process? I was telling you that my dad used to write in the night. Let me just let you answer without preempting. How do you approach your writing?
So I come from a columnist background. So pressure, first of all, is my disease.
Because you have a day you're supposed to submit that.
I have a deadline. So, and it takes you a lot, especially when I started writing books, it was very difficult because I would be stuck in, I need a deadline. And now there's nobody giving me pressure but myself because I don't have an editor saying, hey, is my copy coming? So So one of the things I have to do for myself is create a sense of a deadline, sense of like, so it has to be done by this time, it has to be done by this day. And then that thing I do is that I tend to write at night, usually after 9 o'clock. So my best hours are between 9 and 3 a.m.
Okay.
Those are like my most creative potential hours, And when I'm disciplined, it happens well. But then the other thing that I do as well is I do a lot of stream of conscious writing. So my first drafts are ugly, but they're beautiful at the same time, because that's where all the gems land. So
first draft, you're just writing.
I just writing I would start saying, oh man, I was on a radio station with two guys called Radio Generation, and this guy is Flambe's brother, and I don't really know where the story is going, but I'm just writing.
Yeah.
The idea, there's only one rule: fill up the page. So I create a word count, and I say like today, at this point, I have to put down 500 words, and that's it. And then when I'm looking at it again, I start saying, oh, there's something there, and then from there, then I start to now build. Yeah.
Okay. So is it 9 to 3 a.m. continuously? It's just around those times?
Continuously.
Oh.
I obsess of when I get into the zone, I easily do the morning. Like when I'm grappling with a good story, easily time you bend time.
Oh, it's like you just unastukia to it.
Yeah, in fact you're doing what stops you from doing the morning is because you have a whole day to do.
Oh.
Yeah, but easily. But on some deadline days, into the morning. Yeah.
But I guess if you're starting out, you just start from where you are. Like you don't have to be like, I'm like Oyunga Pala, 9 to 3.
Yeah.
Mr. Kwanalala.
Msinipigie simu.
You just start from where you are, I guess.
No, there's a simple rule that's always advised. Do the 200 rule word. Just every day write 200 words. Just get the discipline. It's the same discipline of, hey, you want to become a marathon runner? Do your 10 minutes of jogging, then do 15 minutes, but start with the smallest goal that you can't fail.
Yeah.
So don't start saying, oh, I'm going to do 1,000 words. You're going to fail.
Yeah.
Just start with 200 words. 200, that will take you less than 50 minutes to write. Yeah.
I mean, when you say that, the stream of consciousness writing, I don't know if it's related, but there's a book I read, I think it's called The Artist's Way. And because you're given tasks every week, you're like, and one of the things you're supposed to write throughout the period, I think it's like 12 weeks, you just wake up and write.
Yeah.
Like just anything. There you said, like, you just, I was in the studio drinking water, there was Flambe's brother and another weird guy that I don't know. We're all second last bones. Just write anything. Even if you repeat stories, it doesn't matter. Yeah. And in that book, the introduction is what you're talking about there's a universe of ideas. And the way that author puts it is there's a creator, and a creator not in like God or me, but it's like that is how he references the creativity and where this, like it's a source basically. So when you're saying you've written continuously for so many years, I mean, we struggle with this when sometimes those ideas don't come. Do you, and I think there are so many ways you can put it. You can say writer's block, you can put it in, like, what's the importance of continuing to write even when you don't feel inspired? Yeah,
first of all, never use inspiration as a basis for art. Like kick that thing down a can somewhere.
Like for
kick it down, like never. Yeah, because the moment you feel uninspired, that's it. Your career is bust. And trust me, there's going to be many moments in your life where you feel uninspired completely. Even at that, and here's the irony: at the top of your career is when you're going to feel the most uninspired, because you get over the obsession, but everybody else is just discovering you. And you're like, oh God, man! Like you've just got to the top of your comedy, and you're like, oh, I've had it, and everybody's like, wow, you've arrived. Give us that thing. Just that one joke the
joke you hit.
You've done 50 jokes. That one now has gone viral, and everybody's like, hello, where have you been? And you're like, you got to be joking, So one of the things that I think I learned about, when you're a columnist, you have no luxury of writer's block. Writer's block means no rent. So you get over that reality, you get over that, I guess, illusion very quickly. So what we do is this. It's the same principle for anybody who's training in fitness or running. Legs day is legs day. You don't feel inspired, you don't just go to the... So now then reduce it to small rituals. So as opposed to thinking outcome invested, just say, okay, I won't write, but let me just sit on the desk. Let me just open the computer. Let me just write a sentence. It's like override your mind. So what we learn, so we said then the most important thing is the discipline, not the inspiration. And discipline not in the sense of kiboko, harshness, in the sense of repetition. repeat. And after a while, there's no room for writer's block. Because even the great idea is a seed. When it starts off it never starts off like, it's never like, boom, I've got a beautiful idea.
Yeah.
No, it starts off with just, as you're saying, we're sitting on a radio station, two second last bonds. There's a story that I don't know. And it's that, and it's just that. But 2 days later, when I relive that story and make a connection with another story I read, and suddenly, boom, there's a light bulb moment, and I'm writing a beautiful story. But if I didn't have that process, I would not be here. Yeah.
The weird behavior of second last bomb.
I know that's a
There's a story there.
Yeah. Already, like,
Because guys normally read about fast bonds.
Yeah.
Have you
What
heard
about
stories
us?
about fast bonds? Like the way they're
first bonds and last bonds, but the second last bond.
Yeah.
no one. That's a growth area.
Yes.
And it's the same with you. Like my bro is also 7 years younger than me. So for 7 years, I thought I was the last one. Like up to now, I still have some hatred because I was kicked out.
But not even me. I'm the second last one.
No.
You guys are throwing me out of this club. So let's go back to your career. So you began writing, and then you dabbled in radio.
No,
Like, how long was?
radio is a fluke moment, really. It was a real fluke moment. David Oyunga was his name.
Yeah, I remember David Ohingo.
Yeah, David Oyunga was working at Capital, and for some reason, David just believed in me. He said, like, you have a voice, you need to be on radio, and you're doing commentary all the time. You need to be on radio. And David literally dragged me to Phil. Phil had no idea who's this guy, Phil Matthews. you know? And David just said, you need to have this guy on the show. And then they loved my controversy. David loved my controversy. The fact that when I was doing Man Talks, it's like, no, this guy's got the zeitgeist. You need to have him on the show. And so David drags me in for a radio test. And Phil back in the day was like literally the master of radio. Like all of the greats, walked through, even Maina Kageni, Carol Mtoko, they're all kind of students of Phil. So when Phil does the radio test with me, and he used to have this late night thing where he sits like where you're sitting, and he goes 1, 2, 3, you're on air, and he's watching your every move. You have to get the jingle, you have to get the commercial, you have to hit the beat. And for some reason, I nailed it, like literally, like one take. Bam. You did the next day, I nailed it. By day 3, Phil left me alone.
And you're on the air.
Yeah, I'm on the air. He's like on the air, and he left me alone. By day 3, he left me alone. And then he let me do something that nobody else was doing. He gave me a free hand. Because it's 10 to 12 to 1 a.m. Who listens to radio at that time? So there are no great consequences until the show started getting so controversial that there'll be complaints in the morning. Like guys will be like, hey, what was happening late night? Because I was breaking rules in ways I didn't know rules were being broken. Like I was pulling guests out of the street. I was doing controversial guests. I was doing mistresses. I was doing
You're getting
women literally off the street. Literally inviting people to my show who were typically not show guests.
Yeah.
Because I want a story. I'm like, I want to talk about. I don't want to talk about witchcraft. I know a guy who pretends to dabble in I invite him to the studio. It's 10 a.m. It's 10 p.m.
Yeah. And guys were listening.
The office is empty. It's like you guys now. It's like you come in and guys but then the audience just kept on growing and growing and growing. And so it was a very interesting. I did it for about 1 year, and it was a beautiful time. Late night Capital.
Oh yeah. No, dope stuff. You've given us ideas. I'm gonna be on the streets after this looking for someone. So how long did it take between that time and the time you started doing Adam magazine?
Let's see. God, I got to think the years, man. I think Capital is when? Capital must be about 2003. Capital is about 2003. I started to do Adam after I came back from Laos, which is about 2006. 2006, 2007. It's about 4 years later.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Where did this idea come from, Adam?
Adam was originally, there was a big company called NASPAS. NASPAS, the guys in charge of multi-choice.
Okay.
And there was like a big South African magazine conglomerate, basically, So they're doing Top Bike, they're doing Men's Health.
Oh, okay,
So they had a whole conglomerate. They do many magazines. They had GQ,
Yes.
So they came into East Africa as the East African magazines. And they're the people behind True Love and Drum. Oh. And then they started seeing this market for men. They said, there's a market for men that's not been catered for. Then they came up with the idea of a men's magazine, not even Adam. So then I was invited then at the time. So they do a kind of a call, and I'm kind of selected as editor. So then they take us down to South Africa because it's a big conglomerate in Cape Town. and we're supposed to pitch the idea, like, okay. And they used to have these models that they would use. So it's just, this is how we do men's health, or this is how we do GQ, now do a Kenyan version of it.
Okay.
And so I looked at it and I said, you don't know the Kenyans, man. There's no way they're going to buy this. So we start to remodel it. And in remodeling, we come up with the idea of Adam. They like the fast man, men fast.
Or even the name you came up with.
Yeah, we came up with the name. Yeah, so men fast, basically. Like at a time when all the magazines were catering for women. Yeah. So the idea of Adam, like men fast, like, and like we even in fact in the ad we would say, "Madam, step aside," and we'd push the M. It's Adam's time.
Oh, yes.
Yeah. So that's
What draft was that? That is not a fast draft idea. That is.
And so so then we bring the magazine here and we start kind of our version of a GQ.
Okay.
So we're trying to profile, like put like a babu, we put him on the cover, Jeff was on the cover.
Yeah.
All of the so-called guys now, like we basically put them on the cover. And the idea was just basically high achievers. We were defining what achievement meant in modern society in Nairobi,
Yeah.
And so it was a good run. I think the magazine lasted about 3 years.
Yeah, I couldn't afford it. I was young. So I used to get copies, random copies, and I used to really like it. So was it like full time every day? You wake up in the morning, mnenda office yada?
Yeah, kind of. And it's a magazine. It's a monthly.
Okay.
And one of our writers was Biko at the time. Biko was a major. Jackson Biko.
Yes.
That's how our friendship started.
Okay.
Because I was his editor. And but magazines, you collect ideas. So it's banter ideas. Banter. Then you decide on how it's going to work, and then now you start chasing them. And then there's that 2 weeks before publication where it's high pressure, then it's released.
So you have to send it to South Africa, then they print, then
they
send it back?
then send it back.
Did it make a profit?
Oh yeah, it was doing very well. In fact, it surprised them by how well it did. Yeah, at some point it was rivaling True Love, which was an establishment brand. It surprised them how well it did.
So what happened to it? Because it broke my heart when it stopped.
Yeah, I think it was a kind of more of an economic decision. Like the South Africans just basically moved out of our market. Like we were making money, but in the scheme of things, we were a bleep. Like we were selling like what, maybe 10,000 copies in 5 to 10,000 copies. In the scheme of things, it was considered nothing for a company as big as NASPA's. Yeah,
it's like movies, the way they don't really care about the African market.
Yeah, like you guys, like how many? Nah, forget it.
The rest of Africa. It's just South Africa, then the rest of Africa.
Yeah. But can it happen again? Because now we can publish. No, by we I mean like you and the thing can publish online, digital space.
Yeah, I think in many ways, I think the what do you call it? I mean, if I look at kind of okay, think of the idea of a magazine. What is a magazine really? A magazine is a collection of many things. Like, so you have a column, you have a fashion section, you have a feature story. So I think in a way the magazine idea has kind of been democratized. It's appearing in many spaces. So if I think of TikTok, I look at TikTok as literally a magazine, like a movie magazine. So the whole idea still exists. What the place of the traditional print magazine now would be purely legacy. Because the need that it was filling has already been filled by this new media. Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah. There's this Substacks.
Yeah, Substacks. So like the danger now that we have is just basically over too much information. Yeah. So we need a little bit more curation because there's just too much crap out there. Yeah. So we need people who can able to kind of curate beautifully. And that, I think what will happen post this cycle is magazines will become fashionable again. Yeah.
Do you have something, Kabla? Need to shoot the next question.
Yeah. I mean, when you're writing and you'll know, as you said, you have a draft, and sometimes you'll be like, there's something, and we get that too. Like you'll write a joke and be like, there's, but we actually need to go on stage and perform and get feedback. Like we almost have that luxury of testing our material and refining it. Like in your world of writing, like do you have someone that like you send your stuff to be like, is this me? Am I just loving my own stuff? And it's
no. Yeah, sometimes yes. If you're doing a column, like I have a Substack column,
Oh, okay.
I typically do every week.
What's it? What
just under my name, just my name.
Oh, okay,
My name was Substack, and so that one is just tumbukiza. Like you finish, you get it out, and you I don't know, just say inshallah. I hope you guys like the hard work. I was up 3 to 5. Please. And sometimes some of your best articles barely a love heart, barely. forget even a comment,
Yeah.
a reaction, barely. And I'm grown now, it's not like I started writing yesterday.
Yeah.
I'm like, guys, have some respect.
Put some respect on my name.
How long it took me to put that together. But generally, when you're doing books, it's very important to have readers. Very important to have readers, and kind of curate your readers. And same thing I would say with the kind of jokes and everything else. Curate your readers so you actually get proper critique. Not the kind of guys that tell you, "Anya ni sawa, ni sawa." Like, what does sour mean? Like, break it down for me. What is it about the joke that you like? What did it hit you? So it's important to get readers. The thing about column writing, the idea is that basically you get it's continuous improvement. So you don't obsess on. The idea is the stream is what matters, the collection. So when you think of Man Talk, you think of it as the volume. You don't think about it as one piece. It's the entire collection is what makes it special. And that's the column game. But when you're doing books, you need readers. You need a collective of people from different kind of skill sets that can feed into the writing process in different ways. So the people for story, the people for facts, the people just for language, and everybody kind of builds into then this holistic story for you.
No, shout out to everyone who's listening in. George Raphael says, dope show kama kawa. My Tech says, great show kama kawa. Been wondering where Oyunga Palace disappeared to. Here he is. Elkana Naibe says, honestly can't miss your show. I am Waka is also appreciating the show. And so is Sober Mind. Remember, Oyunga Palace has written a book, Strength and Sorrow. Where is this book being sold, by the way?
It's all over. It's in all the TBCs. It's in Yaya, just here at the bookstop.
Okay.
It's in Nuria, we're both in Nairobi and Mombasa in Nyali.
Okay.
It's in Half Price Books. It's in Somonami. And in Kisumu, if you're from Kisumu, it's in the Textbook Center, and it's at a place called Lolwe Books. And if you're in Eldoret, it's Textbook Center.
Yeah. Go grab a copy.
Yeah.
I have a question about the Man Talk stuff that the Man Talk. And then Adam, like this a general, I've put so many things together. How come when men start writing, doing things to build up other men, sometimes ladies think it's some sort of misogyny, toxic masculinity. Have you experienced that?
That's a kind of interesting question. Considering I'm the Man Talk guy.
No, but I'm sure you've had rumors, at least.
God, I was do you know how much sacrifice I took for you brothers so you can sit in those chairs? Now you can raise your voices now.
You paved the way.
How many hits I took on your behalf? So there's context, in the sense that we're in patriarchal societies, So sometimes as men we don't see our privilege. Yeah, because we're not beneficiaries of that privilege. In the sense of that, if you look at the elites of our society, it's men in suits. There's the occasional woman, but she has to she's doing performative masculinity. So she has to be an iron lady of sorts. So they're cast in that way. So that backlash we're seeing is this like, how dare you not see your privilege?
Okay.
The same way as a white man trying to say that no, I'm not a beneficiary of white privilege. And you as a black guy say, what the hell are you talking about?
Yeah.
You're white.
Yeah.
So in the same way as a man trying to say that, no, but I've got my issues, but you're a man. So from the generality of it, what they're speaking to is the patriarchy. But we tend to personalize things because you're the closest to me. I can't get around to the big bosses in State House. So what do? I take it out on Bashir. Yeah.
So, but do you think men need those focus groups where we talk to each other?
I wouldn't say focus groups. Men need ritualization, men need nurturing, men need mentoring. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
The focus group is just basically a compensation for what has been lost. Men used to have rites of passages. We come from cultures that had age-set systems. When you got to a certain age, you'd move together.
Yes.
You start as boys, then you become young men, then you become warriors, then you become fathers, then you become elders. That was the ritualization.
Yeah.
Now, the disruptions of colonization and modernity disrupted it all, because now all we're being trained is for the workplace, the factory, you know. And then what happens is then the women then move into the factory, into the workplace, because this is the design of capitalism. And then what happens? Gender roles become diluted. So while before you, the man, earned enough, and one man could earn enough to support his whole family, and the wife didn't have to go to work, she could stay at home because the man was earning enough. Capitalism disrupts us in such a way that now both of you have to earn money. And then the industry changes that such that your wife's career is moving faster than yours. And before you know it, your wife is making more money than yours, yet you're still within a traditional setup that expects you to play one role, but reality is playing the other. This is the conflict that we're still grappling to date.
So what's the way forward? Because sometimes you hang out with the chicks even here at the office, and they're like, "Man, men are not stepping up. You know, me, I'm the one going out." Like, it's if the way you're saying, like, chicks have now become the men. They're the ones staying at Jobo until 10 p.m. to bring in the bacon. The time the dude is in the digs with his feet up, and yet he's still the guy making less money. But so what's the way forward for the men? Especially now, chicks are making good strides right now.
We've got to redefine ourselves differently. If we insist on describing in terms of only financial merit, then you're screwed. You're screwed properly. I'll tell you that for free. Free advice. Yes. If you define yourself purely by financial merit, you're screwed. Oh, you're so screwed. You know? Because if that's the one definition, so what happens? The possibility of your wife making more money than you is more likely than not. It's more likely than not. Especially if you married a smart woman. The possibility is more likely than not. You know? You're more likely to be depressive than your wife. So you're more likely to hit a head ceiling at job than your wife will be.
Yeah.
Right? In terms of the industries that open up, your wife will have much more of a wider trajectory than you will. You know?
Yeah.
Look at the radio industry. Look at how many men last. Look at how many women last. Look at even within this industry itself. You know? So we have to move away from that merit. You know, that because it's too narrow a merit. You know? And we pretty much what we have to, you see, we have to look at things more holistically. The problem with people, what we're trying to do is band-aid. We're trying to fix it now. You know, like, I don't know, we're running out of water in Kilimani. And yet we need to stop sinking boreholes. That's about how it is. You know, like it's like a band-aid solution. We need to go back. So what they call a Sankofa moment, and ask ourselves, where did we lose the way? Where did we get broken? Which then it behooves us then to really understand our colonial legacy and what happened to us as African men. Like, seriously. And that's the problem, is guys refuse to read history. Because if you truly understand that, then there's a possibility of us reconstructing society in a way that makes sense. But trying to reverse things without telling women to go back to the kitchen, man, that's done.
Yeah, that's done.
That's not going to work.
Yeah.
So then, first of all, then kitchens as we know them, they're not. Men, in terms of the roles they used to serve, has changed. So we have to readjust and present new rituals that allow men to come into their roles. But if we insist on traditionalism,
we have to create a new system.
We have to create a new system.
Yeah.
We have to create new cultures, you know, but collectively. But at the same time, we also have to repair. So men have to start realizing what happened. What happened to us? Like, what's going on? And if you understand it holistic, then you start realizing, oh shit, we've been screwed by a system. You know, and a system tears us apart and then picks and chooses and puts a few on the pedestal, and the rest of the men say like, oh shit, we're not like the big five. So the rest of us are useless. And then the women project all the anxieties on those big five, the Mbabas, and the rest of us are just useless. So what happens with the man? In his brokenness, he gives up. And the woman, nature abhors a vacuum. She steps into the place
and takes all the dollars.
And it's done, man. And if you've got nothing else and that was your only validation, bro,
you're done also.
You're done.
You'll figure out where the charm base is. Take it base your charm because sina hope. Man, Dennis Mutete is asking where we can get the book. We're gonna share that again. All right. We said Nuria.
Nuria Textbook Center, Yaya Bookstore, half price books. But then also you can just go to my website, oyungapala.com. Type it and we'll deliver it to you.
All right, we have 2 minutes to the top of the hour. We still have you after the top of the hour for a while.
Okay,
yeah, so usipige simu useme unakam. Bado we've been hanging out with Oyunga Pala. Do these books can one make money?
Yeah, surprisingly, surprisingly you can. If you do good story, and you do good marketing, people buy. I'm really surprised. There's like if you go to Nuria bookshop right now, it's like 90% of the books on those shelves are from Kenyan writers, African writers.
Oh yeah,
and a lot of them are self-published. This is something that was not happening as little as 5 years ago.
Okay.
So the market is changing.
So it's easier to get your stuff out there now.
It's easier. It's much easier.
All right. Bashir, uko na namba ya watu wa kutuma voice note?
Yeah. The number is 011-692-8683. 011-692-8683.
Yes, if you have a voice note or something you want to share with the legend in the studio, please use that number to send in a voice note. Keep it under 1 minute. We hang out with Oyunga Pala right here in studio. We're gonna give him some time akunywe maji, relax. Ameongea sana na yeye ni elder. Sasa they say respect your elders. Sasa ufanye elder ongee continuously hours on end.
After na andike.
Tunaona hiyo ni disrespect. So no, but we're gonna close the YouTube stream and move back to X. So shout out to everyone who's been listening to us on YouTube. Remember to subscribe while you're here on YouTube, and remember when you go to X, subscribe there too. We're gonna mix the conversation with some music when we come back, but we just want to thank the guys who are watching on YouTube for watching. And also, before the YouTube guys go, I want to thank you for coming through and making the time.
No, thank you. Thank you so much. It's good fun, man.
I think you don't know how it's important to us for you being. Guys were like, "Hey, Oyunga Palana come, Oyunga Palana come." So many people were so excited that you're coming through, and luckily we still have you after the top of the hour. The show is called The Wind Down. The station is called Radio Generation. We do this every weeknight from 7 o'clock all the way till 10. If you missed the conversation, it's gonna be on YouTube at the top of the hour. But meanwhile, don't touch that dial. We'll be back.
It's 9 o'clock.